What's up, beer seekers? Welcome to this episode of Beers with the Boys. We've got the whole BeerSighted crew here, along with two very special guests to talk beer with us tonight. JP Gallagher, co-founder of Lost Shoe Brewing and Roasting Company, and Justin Negrotti, co-founder of Channel Marker Brewing. Both have joined us individually before, so apparently we didn't scare them off. Fellas, welcome back and thanks for joining.
Thanks for having us.
Likewise. All right, well, the reason we're all gathered here tonight is to discuss one specific, very unique beer that you guys created in collaboration called Sleeps with the Fishes Gummy Fish Sour Ale. So guys, let's dive right into it. How did this collaboration come to be, and why did you guys choose such a unique beer to join forces on? Justin, I'll start with you.
So we had the opportunity probably 3-4 months ago to head down to Lost Shoe and brew up a collaboration at JP's shop. It was a fruited saison inspired beer, if I recall correctly, JP.
Yep.
I unfortunately still hold a day job, so I wasn't able to be part of that brew day. But my partners Tim Corcoran and Jake Crandall came back from spending the day with JP and had nothing but great things to say about their time with him and Melinda and the operation JP was running. And we knew that, shortly thereafter, we wanted to get JP up to our spot to brew, kind of what we considered to be part 2 of the collab. And eventually, a spot opened up in the brewing schedule that, we hadn't filled out yet, and called up JP and said, hey, do you want to come brew a beer at our place? And, he was totally on board, which we were psyched about. And then, believe it or not, it was really kind of over a Facebook group chat that we started tossing these, wacky ideas, back and forth, just bouncing ideas, whether it was a crazy pastry stout or some ridiculously hopped double IPA or a fruited sour. And I can't remember if it was JP or I, but, one of us ended up saying, hey, what if we did like a candy inspired sour beer? That's, something we've never done. I don't think JP's ever done anything like that. And then we started going back and forth on different kinds of fruits. Do we make it all fruit? Do we incorporate some element of candy to the beer? And just kind of through that process of bouncing ideas back and forth, we somebody struck a chord with, oh, what about a Swedish fish inspired beer? That'd be pretty cool. We went onto the website nuts.com, as odd as it sounds, and we started scanning through the different candies that they had available, and from there we kind of just took off. So I would say that's kind of how the idea came to be, just a random Facebook group chat that we have with JP, that we just started bouncing ideas off of each other and settled on this.
So you guys really had no intention on what beer you wanted to make. You just knew we wanted to make a beer together.
Yeah. I mean, that's how a lot of these collabs start. You kind of get to know each other, the styles of beer that each brewery is known for, or not, and kind of just start bouncing ideas off the wall and seeing what sticks. Oftentimes, with other collabs that we've done, it's been something specific. Somebody's come to us with an idea of something they want to brew with us, and we'll bite on that. But at least in the case of working with JP, it was kind of just really both breweries, both operations chiming in with different ideas and kind of just settling on something that we thought would be, fun and challenging and, just kind of out there that the market would hopefully enjoy.
And then from there, you come up with a recipe and then almost like the base recipe, and then do you both put your own spin on it? How does that work?
Yeah, you want to take that, JP?
Sure. Yeah. So Justin had come to me with one of his base recipes that he tends to use for a lot of his sours, and he gave me his standing operating procedures and just how he dials in his beers, completely detailed out, and I took that and I adopted it to our setup. So where Justin might use certain malts, I I use Wireman pretty much for a lot of my base malts. So I just swap those out. That it's not going to have a huge impact on a beer that we're putting a ton of fruit and gummy candies and things like that. It's right. So, but yeah, I mean, I went off what Justin's recipe was and made some tweaks just to scale it up to our system.
I should add in too that a lot of the techniques and the approaches that we've had to our sour process. Again, I'm not there every day, so a lot of the stuff that we presented to JP in the SOP doc was driven by techniques that Tim and Jake have developed in the process of brewing our sour beers on a daily basis. Things like how often, when are we recirculating, and at what temp do we introduce the fish, and how do we boil the fish down to a liquid that can be adopted into the wort, and things like this were all processes that my partners Tim and Jake developed, and that we, after we brewed the first batch of the Swedish Fish sour beer, kind of went back to the drawing board with a few of the ways that we introduced the fish and things like that. So I definitely can't take much of the credit outside of just kind of the base recipe for the sour beers. A lot of this stuff is Tim and Jake coming up with it in the brew house and then telling me later, hey, we did this, and this, and we think it worked out pretty well. What do you think? And then I'll kind of have, my own thoughts and, suggestions, but a lot of this is kind of on the fly type stuff that we're doing.
And now this is the second time you guys have actually collaborated on this beer, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yep.
And did you make any big changes, or really pretty much the same recipe as before?
So, JP, we didn't really brew it we didn't brew it at your spot. So I'll kind of talk about the changes that we made, at least from batch 1 to batch 2 channel marker. So batch 1, we ended up, so we're a 2-barrel brew house, which means we're producing roughly 64 gallons of beer, or yielding roughly 64 gallons of beer. We kind of push our system to the limit in terms of yield. So we're getting quite a bit more than that, but let's, for the argument's sake, got 64 gallons. We did, in the boil kettle for batch 1, we introduced 5 pounds of Swedish Fish. Actually, sorry, 10 pounds of Swedish Fish in the boil. And that was it for the Swedish Fish edition. And then in the fermenter, we added in, we did tart cherry, a box of tart cherry, which is 42 pounds of tart cherry puree. We did 15 pounds of lingonberries, frozen lingonberries that we were able to source. And there's theories out, I mean, no one ever knows exactly what's in Swedish Fish. That's kind of the mystique about the Swedish Fish. Some people say cherry, some people say lingonberry. So we just said, well, F it, we're going to add both and see how it comes out. So we ended up going on, I just went on the internet, found some crazy place that sells frozen lingonberries out of Switzerland and ordered those, had them overnighted in like dry ice. And this company that we used is incredible. Their box was frozen solid when it showed up from FedEx. And so we used those in the fermenter. We used the tart cherries in the fermenter. And then we attempted to puree up, I think it was something like a pound or 2 of maraschino cherries, like the cocktail cherries.
Yeah.
That was a huge mistake. Huge mistake. Those, we couldn't get the skins to blend up very well. And despite it saying they were stemless on the jug, the 1 gallon jug that we ordered of these things, we ended up finding cherries, pulling them out of the fermenter after. So from batch 1 to batch 2, we ended up ditching the maraschino cherries. We just threw those right out. And we decided to kind of up the Swedish Fish edition. So I think when all was said and done, we ended up doing 15 pounds of Swedish Fish that we melted down to liquid in the kettle. And then we added another 5 pounds into the fermenter, along with a box of sweet cherries, a box of tart cherries, and then again, the 15 pounds of lingonberries. And that's, I mean, you're talking like, I don't know, what, 80, 90 pounds of pureed fruit going into the fermenter. I mean, it was silly. I think we got something like 25 cases on, which is actually, that put us like over the 2-barrel mark on the system. So it was crazy. It was definitely crazy.
That's awesome.
JP, how does yours differ? Because I know you guys kind of varied your recipes just slightly.
So I did I basically tripled the recipe. I did a 6-barrel batch. We've got a 7-barrel system, but to keep numbers easy, I did it ×3. So I use close to 300 pounds of total fruit. Yeah, I bought I bought 2 30-pound boxes of gummy fish, and so I boiled down the 30 pounds on brew day, and added that into the fermenter. Into the kettle. I didn't sour in the kettle. I actually soured in the fermenter. It's something that I've been interested in doing. There's this new type of yeast out there that produces lacto, and so that is predominantly where you're getting a lot of sour beers with lactobacillus producing lacto, and so it cut down my brew day to 1 day. Typically, kettle sours, it's got to sit a couple days in the kettle to sour. And so after I fermented the beer and it soured, I cleared it out. I dropped all the yeast out, and I put all the fruit into the bright tank and transferred on top of that. So I did the 3 42-pound boxes of sweet cherry, 3 of the 42 of tart cherry. And then I actually found a company out in, I think they're in Colorado, that makes pureed lingonberry. And so that was a 42-pound box as well, which was nice not having to process it myself. So I threw that in there as well. The lingonberry for me, it just opening up the box, it smelled like cranberries, which I think gives a nice tartness to the beer.
So were you guys, have you guys had the opportunity to try the other? Have you both had both?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were very fortunate that JP took the ride up on last Friday.
Nice.
And we all sat around and cracked cans of each other's and had them both side by side. That was, I mean, for me, that's just the coolest part.
Yeah.
You know, being able to sit and talk and stuff like that. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
It actually worked out for us that same way too, because me and Nick are down near Marlboro, and Brandon and Steve up near you guys at Channel Marker. So we've actually got, between the 4 of us, we haven't split the beers like you guys have, but 2 of us got the Lost Shoe version, 2 of us have the Channel Marker version.
Yeah. Worked out really well.
It worked out incredibly well. I had no idea JP was coming up. So when I kind of tend to bop in and out at, you know, if I get a lunch break or whatever, I'll shoot down to the brewery and say hi to Tim and Jake, and said JP sitting there, and I was like, oh, no way, JP's here. And then I see them all cracking cans of each, and I'm like, holy shit, like I want to be a part of that. So I stuck away from work for a bit.
That's irresistible right there, especially on a Friday too. Like, what are you supposed to do? So you guys got to sit around, you got to try each other's. You know, what's the consensus? How did they differ? You know, and for listeners who may or may not have been able to try it, you know, let's talk about some of like the profile of these and some of the tasting notes you get. I think with all the ingredients, people could probably take a stab at it, but you know, I want to hear it from the experts.
I thought they were.
You kick it off, yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was cool. I thought they were remarkably similar. They both had the same nose on them. I mean, just from putting the glasses side by side, they both smell almost identical. Both in the initial flavor and the finish, very, very similar as well. I thought it was. I mean, it's one of those things where I'm taking a recipe that's been brewed before at Channel Marker and running it through our system, and so I've got that little bit of kind of anxiety and stress, being like, well, how does it compare? How's it going to turn out? And so it was cool. It was, I thought they came out pretty close, which is awesome.
Yeah, I would echo the same. As soon as I smelled them, I was like, if I had a blindfold on, I wouldn't know the difference.
That's awesome.
I actually enjoyed JP's body a bit more than ours. I thought his had a more of a fullness factor that ours didn't, and I'd be anxious or curious to see, probably offline comparing brew day notes with JP just on mash temps and things like that.
Yeah.
Because I thought his had a bit of a better body than ours did. I'd also be curious to know if, that difference of us, JP used 42 pounds of lingonberries. We used 15. And while he did scale his 3 times through the 42 pounds, his was pureed, whereas it was Tim and Jake with a stainless steel pot in our tap room over an induction heater, boiling these things down and blending them with an immersion blender. And I'm sure that's, and obviously we pasteurized it. We brought it up, and made sure that they boiled for a good couple of minutes to kill anything. But I just wonder if, some of just JP's choice of using a third party for the lingonberry puree made a difference in the beer. We also kettle soured our beer as well. The product that JP used or the yeast, I should say, that JP used to sour his it's something that we are exploring at Channel Marker in our brew house, because there's a lot of gains to be had from using this yeast as opposed to kettle souring, both from a consistency standpoint and brew house operations. So I also wonder what kind of attributes that contributed to the finished beer as well. It's something we were talking about the other day when we were taste testing them.
Yeah. Justin, you mentioned that the flavor of the candy is kind of hard to pinpoint. So I'm just curious, what does the introduction of candy, what does that do to the beer? Like when the finished product comes out?
That's exactly where I was going next to.
Yeah.
So for us, at least with batch 1, we felt like the Swedish fish imparted, definitely, it had some residual sweetness. When it's probably not something that you really could as a consumer, unless you're tasting the beer along the way, or you've got this like really refined palate that frankly I don't even have. You're able to kind of detect at what point the fish kind of falls off. And for us, that was like 2 or 3 days after fermentation kicked off and the sugars kind of went away. There was like some residual sweetness, but other than the wort being, kind of a reddish hue, we felt like, at least with batch 1, the Swedish fish didn't impart as much as what we were looking for in the finished beer. And so we made some detailed notes in our brew sheet, and we were like, we got to double up on the fish edition and try and introduce some after fermentation is complete, and allow some of that sugar, the flavorings of the Swedish fish to carry through to the finished product. So we made the decision, or Tim and Jake made the decision during brew day to basically add an additional 5 pounds of Swedish fish. So beef up the Swedish fish edition by 50% in the kettle. And I saw that wort, and that was just a different red than what we had saw from batch 1, which was really cool. I mean, it turned like a chum red. Somebody commented on it. I think we saw an Untapped comment. It was like chum red, which I thought was
kind of appropriate too.
Yeah, appropriate. Exactly. So that was one. And then adding them into the fermenter, our process is to JP added his fruit directly into the bright. We actually drop our yeast and then add the fruit into the fermenter before we crash it and transfer into the bright. So anyways, when I tasted our beer, I thought that compared to batch 1, the Swedish fish was immediately present on the nose. I get lots of cherry flavor in the finished beer, along with tartness, which for me is, it's as close to a Swedish fish as I think that I'm looking to achieve. I mean, outside of boiling down, I don't know, 300 pounds of Swedish fish and throwing yeast on top, I'd be, I'm pretty happy with how
That batch
beers
3
turned out. Batch 3, yeah.
Yeah.
We'll see. I don't know if Tim and Jake are going to be down for boiling 300 pounds of Swedish fish, but I'll see what I can convince him to do.
Yeah.
No, it's pretty cool. So Tim and I, and Tim Corcoran, not to be confused with channel markers, Tim Corcoran, got our Lost Shoe one. And the first thing I want to say is I love the color, like you're saying, that deep, deep red. I think it's great. And then Brandon and I actually Brandon has the channel marker version, and we had a couple different, I guess, tasting notes that we noticed. So when I take a sip, I definitely get that tartness up front. And JP, I'm glad you said it reminds you of cranberries, because that's really what I got aroma-wise at first, but I get that gummy fish finish almost.
Yeah.
So at the very end, it does taste like I'm kind of eating a gummy. It's not super sweet, but I can taste it, and it loses that tartness at the end. And Brandon, I know you kind of got a different taste up front than I did.
I mostly get cherry across the board in this one. I mean, I definitely do get that sweetness from the candy. But yeah, to me, it's cherry from start to finish. I mean, yeah, but I think it's absolutely incredible.
Yeah, and one thing I really noticed is when I think of cherry flavored, I always worry that it's going to taste like cough medicine, but it's not like that at all. It's not super sweet, and it doesn't have that, frankly, terrible aftertaste that cough medicine has. It's a really smooth finish for a sour beer, I thought.
So I'll add to that. Sorry, I intentionally have not touched this yet. So I was saving it to go like brand new live taste, first impression. So
Awesome.
I was telling these guys earlier that my family doesn't buy the gummy fish or Swedish fish, as you were saying, until we go on vacation every year, like one time a year. And when we do, it's like we crush them. So like we got a huge bag at the beach and we crush them that week. I don't know how it became a thing, but it did. So I'm looking forward to it. And I have 4 of them. So I'm like kind of thinking that if I like it, it might go down really quick. So here we go.
It's a little nostalgia for you, drinking, thinking of vacation while there's a snowstorm outside. What do you got?
I don't know if you want all 4.
That's that's really good. It's a sour that is consistent. It doesn't bite. Like sometimes I think sours can like really bite and like make kind of like the oob or the old warhead thing where you kind of don't like it for a little bit.
Yeah.
But it's a good consistent sour. It transitions to that gummy taste, and I definitely could see myself putting a couple of these back like I was predicting. So
Yeah,
I'm glad I waited to do that live and give my impressions of that. That's a really good beer.
For me,
I also picked it up on my lunch break, so it's a good thing I crack it then, because it could have been an issue.
Yeah. For me, I don't really get the puckering as much as I typically do with a sour, which I prefer that for it to be a little smoother like this is. So I agree with what the guys are saying, but I have the channel marker one, of course, as well. It's a really good sour. I think it's great. It goes down easily. I only have one left, so I can't go nuts like Tim, but
I might have a snow day tomorrow too yet, so it's to be determined on that.
Yeah.
Now, is this something you guys think you'll continue? Will you try different things? Are there plans?
Oh, I mean, yeah, any chance we get to work with JP would, definitely looking forward to more of these types of beers with JP going forward, if he'll have us. And
I'll echo that.
Yeah, I mean, selfishly for us, we love La Choux, we love Channel Marker, and 2 of us are near both, so it works out perfect here. So we're always willing to try anything you guys come up with.
Yeah,
I do want to add is how did you come up with the name for this beer? And is it because any of you are Godfather fans?
So JP, correct. It was Tim.
Yeah.
That came up with the name. So Tim.
Other Tim. Good at names.
Yeah, other Tim Corcoran. Just, I don't know.
It's really bizarre, huh?
Weird paradoxical universe we live in, but yes. So Tim Corcoran, our co-founder. I've often talked about the think tank. I might have mentioned it on a previous episode of this. That I think that was probably a think tank name that came. I think we got JP and I probably both got the message on Facebook from the same time at Tim. He's like, "How about Sleeps with the Fishes? I got this perfect vision for the label," and we were like, "Okay, yeah, let's do it." So. I think we've talked about Andrew Houle being a guy that does art for us on our can labels before. This one was done, by Max Plank, who's a bartender here at Channel Marker, and an incredible digital illustrator who I think really knocked it out of the park with this label. Some people say it looks like Bernie Sanders, which I got a chuckle out of it. I could actually see that. I thought it was pretty funny.
That's all the rage these days.
Yeah, feel the burn. Yeah. I'll probably maybe disclosing this a bit too early, but JP and I actually made the decision or Tim, Jake, and I and JP made the decision to send this beer down to Hop Culture. So they're going to be doing a feature post on their Instagram in the next few weeks showcasing this beer, which is just kind of a cool, just a cool thing to get out there. And we thought the label was killer. We thought the beer was killer. Batch 1, batch 2 obviously just got even better. And just cool that now there's really 3 different versions of this beer out there, and just kind of an opportunity for us to promote cross promote both breweries and our collaboration together. So we're looking forward to seeing what they can do with their social media team.
Yeah, that's awesome. Batch 1, it sounds like really killed it. We know you guys sold out. Justin, last time we talked, you said within an hour or so. This was just gone. I hope it was the same way with this round as well. And JP, same with you. I hope you guys just got rid of this thing so fast.
We still have I think we've gone through about 60 or 70% of our cases. It's the most cases of beer I think we've sold in a weekend.
Wow,
that is fantastic.
And we didn't put any of this into kegs. Everything went straight into cans. So our yield was really good. We ended up getting about like 54 cases total, and I think we're down to probably 20, somewhere around there, 20 cases left. So it's moving. And we definitely had a big turnout over the weekend, which was cool.
That's awesome. So, and I know obviously Channel Marker, we know you guys are, famous, if you will, for your sours. JP, do you guys often dive into the sours, or is this a little bit different for you guys?
No, we do. I've got a kind of a rotational sour series called Galoshes of Fortune that we do different fruit combinations every round. We're actually coming out with a new sour next week or the week after. That's kind of it's kind of bringing back one of our most popular Galoshes of Fortune variations, but giving it its own name and its own identity. So yeah, we like doing the sours. People love them. It's fun messing around with different fruit combinations, different spices and things like that. So
yeah,
it's yeah.
You guys get a chance to try JP's key lime graham cracker sour. That's
graham cracker.
Yeah, it's killer. It's awesome. Wow. And we have our own key lime siren, but it doesn't hold a candle to JP's. You definitely got to swap recipes on that one.
Ours starting out was too tart. It was too tart for me. It's definitely mellowed over time, but yeah, I appreciate that.
Delicious.
Nick, want to get that meet there for lunch?
Yep, absolutely.
There you go. That's great. Guys, I would normally, when we close these things out, we always say, where can we pick this stuff up? I would say you got to do it real soon, especially at Lost Shoe. Justin, I think it's gone at this point. And so, I mean, I guess before we get you guys out of here, let's just say, where can people go to find more information on each of your establishments and just for the latest updates?
Sure. For us, channelmarkerbrewing.com. My partner, Tim, manages all of our website updates and our social media, does a fantastic job with that, making sure that every day folks that are logging on to our social media and our website know exactly what we have and what you can expect when you get to our shop. Right now, we are to-go only, just cans. There's no growlers, no tap pours or anything like that. It's just cans. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And again, Tim does a great job of updating all those platforms. So feel confident that what you're reading is accurate.
For us, it's you can find us on digital at lostshoebrews.com, as well as Lost Shoe Brews for Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. We're at 19 Wheat Street in downtown Marlboro. We are open, and we are a coffee shop as well. So we're open pretty much all day, every day. Right now, we did a callback to the first time I was on your show. We talked about the Lost Forest. We still have that going on. We are going through a couple different themes over the next couple of weeks. Right now we've got the Forbidden Forest, which is a Harry Potter theme. We're going into the Rose Garden next weekend. Not this weekend, but the following, which will be for Valentine's Day. And then after that, we're doing yeah,
it's cool. I'm excited to see that, JP. That'll be cool.
Yeah. And then the weekend after that, we're doing 2 weekends of, or 2 weeks of the Lost Island. It's going to be like a summer in winter type. It's like the reverse of winter or Christmas in July. So yeah, so we're running that, and then we're ending that, I think, right at the beginning of March. But yeah, open regular hours, and you can find our hours on our website.
Nice. Anything Harry Potter themed is good because my wife loves Harry Potter. So
I was about to say the same thing.
Yeah. It makes it an easier decision to go to any brewery with Harry Potter.
Exactly.
It's been fun. We the first weekend we did it, I was standing talking to somebody, and I see this family get out of the car in one of the parking spots right in front. And this little girl jumps out, full on like Gryffindor gear. She's got a wand, and I was like, "This is amazing."
Yeah, so you must have hit the mark.
That's awesome, guys. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to join us tonight. And I think I could say unanimously, awesome beer. And Thank you guys for hooking us up with it. And we love tasting it with you guys. And for everyone out there watching, definitely follow both Channel Marker and Lost Shoe on social media and check out their website regularly for latest updates. Follow us on social media at BeerSighted Pod. Check out our website, BeerSighted.com, and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more of our video content. Guys, Justin, JP, thank you so much again for taking the time to join us tonight. Cheers.
Cheers,
boys.
Cheers.
Guys,
This thing goes down.